Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. You get fairy dust, I get fairy dust, little Amelie gets fairy dust. And I guess I have to say, like, welcome to my channel. Um, Something I never thought I would say. I'm here because I like to talk a lot, and Instagram doesn't have long form videos. So here I am. We're going to be asking questions for Ask an Advanced Bitch. If you have a question for me, you can put it in the comments, or you can DM me at Advanced Bitches on Instagram with a question. And I will plan to answer it very soon as I can. We'll put it in the queue if it's in my area of expertise, of course. Okay, so here is the first question. Hi, Elizabeth. I was curious if attachment and abandonment issues are common in CPTSD. I've been diagnosed by providers CPTSD, MDD, and GAD only, but I sometimes get confused and I wonder if I have BPD because I have abandonment and attachment issues. I'm not looking for you to diagnose me or seeking reassurance, just seeking anything. If there's any reassurance, if this is common with CPTSD, thank you for considering this question. Okay, this is really embarrassing. I do not know what MDD is, nor do I know what GAD is. I do know who Josh Gad is, but I don't, because I fully did love the Book of Mormon. And also, what's his name? That's the snowman's name in Frozen. Oh no. Anyway, him starts with an O. Okay, so it's so fun. So I recommend Pete Walker's book. I recommend you read Pete Walker's book because yes, 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 and absolutely yes, abandonment issues and attachment issues. It obviously goes. I mean, you could say CPTSD is an attachment problem that we're not able to form healthy attachments because whatever the fuck is going down in our childhood home, whatever we learned. And so we learn to either chase people because that's how we chase our parents or siblings, aka anxious attachment, so they'll take care of us, or that we defend ourselves from them because we've been hurt. And so we don't want we'd have whatever avoidant attachment because it's just easier. I had that easier for me not to attach at all than to easier for me not to attach at all than to endure the pain of being left again, heartbroken again, betrayed again. And so in order to, part of what's healing about CPTSD is we can learn to find, once we find some safe people, and then we can learn to have a healthy attachment. I had my first real relationship was when I went to treatment, where I decided, because it was like my life depended on it, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna trust this guy. He was safe because he was gay, safe to me, and obviously he's amazing and wonderful in all the ways, but that's why it's a guy and not a girl. It's because, but he was so, and I literally said, like, hey, do you want to try this real relationship thing? And he's like, yeah, because we had to call each other. And I loved him so much. Like, I thought he was amazing. And honest and real. And I just love that. And so we tried it and it was very effective. And I think that if I didn't have that relationship, I wouldn't have the relationship I have now with my husband. I wouldn't have been prepared for someone just to be kind to me. And then the other way that I formed a healthy attachment was with my therapist. It was a safe environment. It was a professional relationship, but I was able to be vulnerable enough. And I had been hurt by a therapist before, and so it took even a little extra. But he taught Pete Walker's book in Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving. He talks about how we're misdiagnosed. Like there's like a full chapter on how we're misdiagnosed. In my class in the archive, I taught that chapter, and we just like went down the list of all the things that we were misdiagnosed with, and then it turned out that it's CPTSD. And then one of the things that we did once I was teaching from this book, like we just go through it, like try to like glean all the information that I could, and then we got to a CPTSD and attachment, and then we paused that book, and then we started reading the attachment book. And so we were able to then take all the information in the class, this class is in the archive, all the information from the CPTSD that we had learned, and then applied attachment theory onto it. And so I think that if you read those chapters, or took, if you want to join the membership and take those classes, that they're all in the archive, so you would just be watching past recordings of me, but like it would be very helpful. And also, getting to hear people in the class talk about attachment and our problems with it, and yeah, so it is it's not only for me, my understanding of CPTSD and attachment, it's not only is it possible to have attachment issues when you have CPTSD. I don't think that if you don't have attachment issues, you probably don't have CPTSD. I don't know how someone has healthy attachment and also has CPTSD. So yeah, so I hope that's helpful. It's really a painful process as we're trying. But what you're doing, I want to like point it out. What you're doing is you're following the thread. Like, okay, I have these issues. Is it this? Is it this one? Is it this? What I recommend is that you read, since you asked about BPD, aka borderline personality disorder, I would go ahead and read the criteria of it in the DSM. And, it says like if you have 2 of these and 5 of these, you probably have it. But really look to see. And if and then another thing you could do is you could go in with a therapist and say, no, let's look at this, and let's look at the criteria. Let's look at the diagnostic criteria, and also understand that this person that you do that with has to also be very trauma informed, CPTSD informed. And so that's what I do when because a lot of people will like come in my office. They're already obviously advanced because they chose me. But what I mean is like they wouldn't be interested in me if they weren't already doing their work before they got to me. And so some people think like, do I have this? Do I have that? And I found the most helpful way to like get rid of that thought of like, I'm not this, is to pull out the criteria. Pull out the criteria in the DSM, and let's find out. Like if you are great, if you're not great, like it, but it's good to know. I also do this same practice because a lot of times somebody's in my office and I'm like, have you ever thought of, does that person have, a personality disorder or something? Have you ever thought about it that way? Because I keep hearing criteria being met through the stories that my clients being told. And they'll be like, no, I can't believe that. That doesn't make, I don't think so, or whatever. And then I'll pull out the criteria and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's that. They do that. They do that. They do that. They do that. And then it gets people off the hook of trying to, it kind of breaks through denial a little bit. And you don't have to feel pressure, because a lot of times people feel bad with labeling things. But for me, I like to label something so I understand it, and then I know where I stand. And then what I like to do is name something, label it within me or someone else, And not that my labels are always correct, but it just helps me feel safe. And then once I have like, safe is a label. This person's safe. That's a label. And so like then to me, I think of when I'm naming things or trying to understand things, like labeling an attachment issue or labeling a diagnosis or labeling anything else. For me, it's helpful at the beginning of the thread. I think of it a lot as like, first, before you learn how to play a musical instrument, you have to learn like to play the scales. Like you have to learn the very basics, like what's this, what's that. And it sounds very rudimentary, and we have to label these things. But when you see a professional musician, they're not thinking A, C, G, they're not thinking that, they're just living. And that's the process that I'm talking about. It's just helpful to me to understand what I'm dealing with. And it doesn't mean that, that it's going to be that way forever. It's like, oh, okay. Oh, it's this. Like, I'm really good at labeling dynamics. Oh, you just moved the goalpost. Oh, you just gave me the bait and switch. Oh, you said you were going to do something and you didn't do it. Like, oh, you're this, you're that. Like, okay. And then I get to decide if I still want to be around that or want to participate in it. But I want us all to be very gentle with ourselves when we talk about our attachment issues, because when we're talking about attachment, we're talking about a very deep wound. We're talking about an ancient wound. We're talking about a painful wound. And so we just go really, really slow and understand the wound is not our fault. It's not our fault. And then we figure out how to heal the wound. We just follow the thread. I like books. I like teachers. It helps me a lot. And go from there. But I really recommend at least those 2 chapters in Pete Walker's book of his CPTSD and attachment, and CPTSD and all the things that we were misdiagnosed with. And so I hope that's helpful. If you have a follow-up question, please don't hesitate. Obviously, I love to talk about this stuff. I hope that was helpful. Love you. Bye.